Hey everybody, welcome to the show, a show where four heteronormative people of non-color get together to discuss TV shows. I am one of your hosts, Jay, and I'm joined today by my three regular co-hosts. First, we got the Duke of Delivery, the master of the microphone. We got Adam on the line.
Hey, that's me.
Next, we got the Colossus of Clout, the big mouth from the Deep South, Eric.
Yo, yo, yo.
And finally, the Count of the Courtroom, the Sultan of sitcoms, Aaron.
Oi, oi, oi.
Today we have gathered to watch the Netflix original series Ozark. We are covering season 1 today. This is a show that follows the story of Martin Bird, a money launderer for the Mexican drug cartels, who has his life turned upside down when it turns out his partner in his financial planning business and partner in the laundering is skimming from the cartel. So he is forced to make a radical change and move to the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri to try and set up a money laundering operation there. In so doing, he runs into some of the local criminal elements, and mystery and intrigue ensue.
And he has to launder, what is it, 8 million that he had to launder?
Right. Initially,
Dun, dun, dun.
he's because the partner had been skimming, I think, a total of $8 million from the cartel boss gives Marty the task of, all right, go to Missouri, set up a money laundering operation there, and prove to me that you can do it by laundering the stolen $8 million.
And how much time did he give him?
Was it 6 months or was it 4 months?
I got the feeling it was about 3 because the deadline was the end of the summer.
Yeah.
They didn't really tell us when the start date was, but I got the feeling it was about a season.
That was a quick progression, much like this conversation. We're already on episode 5, but that was a very good setup, Jay. Very good introduction.
Well, it was a full layout of everything. And what Eric is alluding to is that this show took 5 episodes to get through what Jay did in 30 seconds.
Well, yes. Well. So let's dial it back a little bit. So
Very dark.
Bruce was his financial partner, and Marty and Bruce were both running some sort of investment brokerage, some sort of something where they're already under the guise of they're already shoveling money to and fro already. Might as well incorporate some sort of shady customer and do the same thing already.
Well, no, when they got approached, they were just regular investment bankers, which you just happen to use people's money to invest, and then you sell stuff and get the money back. So you're constantly moving money around in your job.
Yeah, that's just what I said.
But he got approached by the cartel's, I guess, money guy.
Yeah, they didn't sell their business to the cartel.
Yeah.
But how did Bruce? I don't understand when Bruce went astray. I don't know how Bruce fucked it up.
Bruce started skimming, and I think he got too deep and knew it, and so he turned to the FBI for cover and started working with them, but then got busted by the cartel in the opening sequence of the first episode. And so, at least that's how I took it. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. And I wasn't clear on how the cartel figured it out. I think, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, what the cartel boss says is he just had
fishing.
A hunch.
Yeah,
he didn't know who was stealing, so he was just going to go rattle some cages and see what he could come up with.
Because he said, "Where's my $5 million?" And Marty was like, "You said $5 million, but here's $8 million that was skimming, or they were skimming." He's like, "You didn't actually know how much was missing, did you?" He's like, "No, I was just fishing."
When he called that before it got revealed that Bruce was even skimming, he was like, "You're fishing," and he just rattled the cage some more, and it worked.
Del Rio also, whenever he was pulling off Marty's toenails, said that was rough. That was really rough. He said Bruce just shuts the fuck up whenever he's lying, but Marty speaks a mile a minute. So Bruce must have gone quiet and just was like, yes sir, about everything, and just got really suspicious. So he probably raised his own suspicions just by being quiet and suspicious.
So Marty, at the same time that this is going down, we also find out that Marty's wife is having an affair with, I guess, the lawyer. And when the cartel, kind of turns on Marty and Bruce and kills Bruce, puts him in a vat of acid. I guess Marty has an option to, like, he tells his wife, right? And he was told not to tell anybody. But I guess his wife was always in on it about the money laundering. She knew about the.
Well, they had a really good conversation about it up until they started being in business with them. I think the show did a really good job at making sure that they were on the same page as a couple, which I think is pretty unique for television altogether.
But she's pretty stupid to be cheating on her husband when her husband works for the cartel.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why she started doing that.
Also, when Marty walked up on and the lawyer splatted on the ground, and he just like stood there for a moment, then he was like, "Yeah, I'm back in my car." I was like, "That's super suspicious, dude."
Well, no, the best line of the show was whenever they were arguing in the car, him and his wife Wendy. She was just saying, "All this is your fault." He's like, "The only solace I've had is the sound of your lover hitting the pavement." I was like, "That is so brutal." She slapped the fuck out of him, but so what have been y'all's favorite developed characters so far? So they have Charlotte, they have the boy. What's the boy's name?
Judah or Jonah. I'm sorry.
Jonah. He was my favorite character.
A little weird. I was for sure he was going to kill somebody.
Well, yeah, that's what that was the whole thing. Well, even his parents, Charlotte was eavesdropping on a private conversation, but they were like, Jonah might be the kid that goes
Can I just
psycho.
A private conversation they held on a boat in the middle of a lake. They're stupid. Okay.
No, they're stupid because they were 50 feet away from their own dock.
Water carries sound.
Well, they should have gone to like some
not
cove or like. Yeah, not indefinitely.
But
they could have gone 1,500 feet out and been fine.
But they kept the engine on the boat running.
Well, yeah, that too.
I might be jumping ahead a little too much, but I really enjoyed both the performance and the character development of Ruth Langmore.
She was good. She was a very strong character, I thought.
I thought one of the best sequences was whenever her uncle was trying to capture her in the trailer, saying that she was going to kill Marty. And she's like confused, but then all of a sudden she smiles at him and says, I've never tried to kill Marty, and leaves. And a little later, he's talking to the uncle's talking to his brother, who is dumb as fuck. Man, that guy's dumb. But and she says, he says, how whenever her brother Cade, is it Cade? Is the uncle or is the father?
Cade. I think it has a weird pronunciation.
He was like, how whenever Cade knows you're lying to you, he stops and smiles. Well, she did the exact same thing. Like, I could see her dad do it, and I saw her do it, and it just was like, it just felt so real. That sequence felt real to me. So she did a phenomenal job acting that role. I didn't know if she was going to kill Marty or not throughout the whole season.
Well, he did a good job at playing dumb because
yeah, he did.
Making it obvious with all the recording equipment, she caught on. She caught on to it, and then called him out, hit him on the chest. That was hard to watch him get found out like that, and then eventually we know what happened to him.
You turned me.
Oh my God. Okay. I think we are going a little quick. So, once upon a time in Chicago. No. So they get to the Ozarks, all based on it having more quote unquote beachfront or shoreline than the whole state of California. And there's a bunch of hillbillies and rednecks, and Marty pretty much.
There's a difference between a redneck.
There is. And I'll let one of y'all explain that because I didn't catch that because that turns into a major development later in the series. But he moves in, pretty much butts his nose into anybody and everybody's business without them asking, without them giving him permission. He's just saying that I have to be successful here. So he's investing in a little, not surf shop, but
it's a resort.
Little resort bar, bed and breakfast kind of boat dock place. And then
sells gas.
That also sells gas. I thought that was a good strategy. That was fun to watch, just like the business aspect. I did like the money. I did like the I don't want to say suits, but it kind of gave me like the same sensation that I watch whenever I watch Suits. I just like watching the numbers being played out in like the business aspect. So I did like watching him actually launder the money. That was a fun aspect of the show. Gotta order AC units. I ordered 37. Like, what the fuck? Why do you need 37? Exactly. Money laundered.
Why not? Stock up.
But and then the hillbillies on the ranch funneling opium through the poor.
So there's a regional heroin distributor who grows poppy flowers up in the mountains, and as the money laundering scheme continues to expand, he inadvertently disrupts their money laundering and distribution scheme by trying to launder as much money as he can as fast as possible.
Right, these are the Snell.
Is a hillbilly. Yes.
Snell hillbillies.
So their whole story, long story short, like they like to make it dramatic, but I mean, I guess some power company flooded out their ancestors, and now they're living on a hill because of some power company, and they take really hard offense to the word redneck, and they rather be called hillbillies because I don't remember why.
The way I saw it was that the redneck is the white trash that lives like in the city, in the country, and then the hillbilly are the people of the land that have been here for generations.
Hillbillies.
Yeah, they've been here for generations and generations, and they're tied to the land, and they're not just some city folk trash that lives in the South. That.
Long story short on them, they lost their land. They want it back. They're using drugs to do it.
To get revenge on the power plant somehow.
Well, money can solve a lot of different things, Aaron.
Well, the plan is that they've been slowly buying up land. And the idea is once they get enough land, they'll have the political capital to take control of, or at least just wreak havoc on the power company that created the lake to begin with. From a practical standpoint, that really doesn't make sense to me because we don't live in a society where we vote based on how much land you own. We live in a society based on you get one vote per person. So I think that was a storyline miss for this show, one of many that I would like to explore.
That's interesting. Well, you don't think... Well, there's probably a different angle that they could play having land as power over the power company.
Well, I mean, maybe fucking with their utility lines or not letting them access their easements.
Like, you can't put a tower here because it's our land kind of thing.
Or they'll piss on it.
I mean, eminent domain kind of takes place, but I don't know what you do there.
Be a hillbilly and not understand what it means?
Or be a redneck and set it on fire.
So, but anyways, as the season progresses, the Martin gets more tied up with the local people, the local businesses, the church. The hillbillies are distributing their heroin through the local pastor who has a on the
boat church.
Yeah, a boat church where everybody's on their boats and singing hymns. And Marty, trying to find ways to launder money, offers to build a church for the pastor, and so he can launder the money. But that is what disrupts the flow of heroin for the Schnell. family.
Because they're distributing their heroin out on the water where the church is at through
I thought that was
Bibles.
pretty clever.
It's clever. Very sacrilegious, but it's clever.
Well, I can't imagine how many people. All right, I can't imagine you moving that much product. Like, how many customers could you realistically have? 10, 15?
Yeah, I'm with Eric on this one. I think the whole boat thing, like it makes sense for like 15 seconds, but once you start to think about it, it really unravels.
Yeah.
Because, what about during the winter when people aren't going out on their boats? What about people who don't own boats? Is this focusing on the tourists, on the locals? It just doesn't really make sense once you start to think about it long term.
Why do you need the pastor? Why do you need the pastor if you're safe on the water anyway?
Well,
just shoot t-shirt cannons at people full of heroin.
Well, no, he said that they patrol the water, but they don't patrol the church, so they can move a bunch of product to different ships and then have them take it out. So I'm assuming that they could probably put like one key.
That's like a hub. That's like their main hub.
In each book, like 1 kilo. So if they have 10, that's 10 kilos a week. So
I don't know how much a good haul of heroin.
Yeah, I don't know how much, because it said it was half of their.
Let's use Google here. How much the drug dealers?
What is a successful amount of heroin to smuggle across the
border? When should you be proud of yourself? What's a good haul? Good deal for 3 acres.
I might have misunderstood then, because that makes a little bit more sense if they're distributing it to their like mid or higher level dealers that way. That makes sense.
They never explained that. They never explained that.
It's just a distribution hub is the way I understood it, is that those people then took it on and took it to the land, and then it filtered down to lower dealers and dealers and dealers and so on and forth. So this was like from the Schnell family to the first layer of distribution.
Okay, so, I think I may have got a misconception, because in the scene where the pastor has found out and he's trying to still go through with it, but as he's giving the sermon, he just
that was
can't.
Very well done. Very well done.
The camera pans around to each of the people in the boats, and maybe I was reading too much into it, but it felt like the people in the boats were all portrayed as these like real pale, gaunt people who it felt like they were trying to communicate to me that those were the heroin addicts.
Right.
No, the feeling I got
probably was... Schnell probably pays local families who are on the drug to be there, to be at church, to collect the drugs.
Just rationalizing their plot.
Well, no. The look on their faces was like, "Are you calling us fucking Judas?" Like his whole sermon was, "All right, now Jesus, whenever he chose his 12 disciples, one of them was Judas, and he knew one of them was the devil." And now they're all like, wait, are you calling one of us the devil? And so, but the whole like cinematography that they were doing was like this pastor now having to deal with being an associate or whatever, and an accomplice. And so the whole look on everyone's face was, you're calling us out. We have no idea what you're talking about. Are you okay? You're freaking out. But and then he shuts down the whole service right then.
I feel really bad for his wife.
Yeah, that was rough.
I'm glad they didn't show that.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't Scarface that.
I almost forgot that they showed the people that were trying to kill Marty. They showed that pretty gruesomely.
I really wanted, after that whole wife thing, I wanted Dell to come into town and kill the Snells. And just didn't work out that way.
Ooh, no, it did not. No, it did not. All right. So ultimately, Marty comes up with a solution to solve everyone's problem, quote unquote problem. And Del Rio,
he's able to launder the money in time.
Yes.
The cartel brings 50 million more to be laundered. That he has worked kind of an idea deal with the Schnells that the cartel would buy all of the heroin and distribute all the heroin using the property that they had along the river instead of the church. And so that was the arrangement that he had tried to set up to save to save his family, to work a deal with the locals, and to keep the cartel happy. Because the cartel loses a bunch of product at the border trying to get it into the United States. Here, they would be getting heroin straight from the United States and able to distribute it much easier from this location.
Well, going back to the money laundering, there's one aspect of it that I didn't understand, and maybe one of you guys can help me out here.
Okay.
But I totally understand the idea of buying the bar and buying the strip club, because that seems really easy to inflate your books and launder the money that way, where you only took in, say, $10,000, but you say that you took in $100,000. You're able to deposit that money into accounts and it's clean. Makes perfect sense. What doesn't make sense to me is inflating the costs on things that he was buying, like the air conditioners or on the construction costs. It's to me, it seems like in order for that to work, you'd have to have the air conditioner company and the construction company in on it, where you pay them in the cash and then they somehow send it back to you through clean means. I don't understand how inflating costs launders the money.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm having
I
a
was
chew on
kind of
that
getting
too.
lost there too.
Well, so is it that you can tax it now? You're claiming it, and now it's just, oh, I had to spend that money, and that money went out the door. But where did that money come in the door from?
Yeah, you have to get the physical cash somehow into a bank account. So
But you
I
have
don't
to have a
understand-
reason for it to be there. So I feel like you have to launder. I feel like you have to guise the intake more than the outtake.
At
So
some
I'm with
point, it
you.
just
I'm with
felt
you.
like
I
he
don't
was
under.
spinning the cartel.
Hey, hold on. The suppliers are part of Dell's money laundering scheme. The shell companies of Dell, Rio, or whatever his name is, they provide goods, but over invoices to Marty.
Okay.
They overcharge the amount
Gotcha.
that is siphoned
Oh.
out of the shell company as laundered money. It's done repeatedly so they can clean large amounts of money while also building out operating legitimate shell companies.
Okay,
So they
I
have a
missed,
network of shell companies. I never
yeah.
caught that. I
I
never
totally
caught that.
missed that.
These businesses were businesses that Marty was working with in Chicago already.
Okay, gotcha. I missed that part.
So that's why he was like, "I'm going to bring my guys, and we'll build them with my guys."
Okay, fair enough.
Huh. No, yeah, I didn't catch that.
It was slow and it was drudgy at times, and I know that they chose to. At least I feel they chose to do that to build the kind of creepy eeriness of the show with the Schnells, with the cartel, with like, are they going to make it or not? Like, all this stuff felt like it was just all building towards this really, really big moment, which I felt like the end does really pay off. It does have a good kind of high impact ending for the first season.
Well, I mean, in that regard, Marty does a good job with two-stepping with every scenario that he
everything they throw
encounters.
at him, he jumps back up.
I think his most badass moment was ripping the safe out of the strip club.
I
He's
don't
like,
know.
"You don't have a plan? You don't have a plan? Damn it! Boink."
That
he
was
was
good.
just done with it.
Also, the first time that he met the Langmores, when they stole the money from the hotel, and he just walked in there, they could have just blown him away right then. Like,
Wait, when?
The very first time
On the island in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When he walks in and the whole Langmore crew is there and they're talking about the money, and he's like, "You don't want to kill me because I work for the cartel and that's not my money. I'm just holding it, and you're gonna have some seriously pissed off people coming for you if you do anything." Like,
I don't know if in that moment people would be thinking that clearly. I think multiple times he would have just been shot in the head.
Yeah, that's a scene that didn't work for me at all, because I was not convinced that these small-time crooks who are living in abject poverty and scrounging, I did not believe at all.
Oh, let's listen to him.
That they would be convinced by Marty. I think they would shoot him, they would take the bag of cash, and then they'd get in trouble, because he's ultimately right that those bags of cash are a lifetime supply of gas and groceries, and maybe some consumer items, but that's not rent. That's not property, that's not long-term wealth. He's right, but I don't think small-time crooks are going to be convinced by that speech when they have their grubby hands on the money.
Like, oh, speech and numbers and tax brackets. Oh, you're right.
So I guess with this, let's talk plot holes. I feel like we've kind of covered like the overall story of the season.
Mhm.
I guess it ends with the hillbillies blowing off Dell's face, kind of calling into question whether or not this alliance / deal is actually going to go through. But the hillbillies seem to say that the cartel still needs to uphold their end of the deal, and this was just a lost
Plot hole.
ambassador.
Plot hole. Charlotte resurrected at the bottom of the lake. What the hell?
Yeah, that was dumb. Didn't like that.
Her resurrection.
Wait, what happened?
When
So
Charlotte swam to the bottom of the lake and like struggled around and then swam to the top and just was like, "I am reborn."
Did she get hit on the head? Like, why was she at the bottom?
She just
I don't
swam
remember
down.
this part at all.
Did she swim down?
Yeah.
She swam out into the lake at night, and then to me it felt like she got lost.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
she starts struggling, she starts drowning, and then all of a sudden she's just like, you know what? I'm not going to drown.
But like her toes go limp in the sand, and then all of a sudden, like her brain has some sort of reboot moment. She's like, "I don't want to die."
What if she was panicking and she knew that to survive she needed to stop panicking?
Well,
So she stopped for a second. She just let her mind calm down, and then she swam back up to the top and got her bearings.
well, I think more likely it could have been a anti-suicide moment. Like, you know what?
make it.
Well, no, like you know what? Fuck
Even if
this.
your
My
parents are
family,
criminals.
my family, yeah, my family fucking sucks. I'm gonna swim out to the middle of the lake and then, like, you know, off myself, and then at the bottom have a moment of clarity. Like, never mind, MVM, I'm a
Well,
survivor.
Eric, I didn't think it was possible, but you did just make this show darker.
So
Well, I think the whole show has been kind of dark. I mean, they fucking called their
extremely.
kid, they called their kid a potential school shooter.
Yep, that happened. In earshot of their daughter.
here's my big plot hole.
Well,
This is the one.
Go ahead.
This is the plot hole that just like got me every time because it was a repeating plot hole. But
Uh-oh.
every single time that Ruth met with her dad at prison and they were openly talking about murdering Marty, that does not happen. There is if either they're listening or they're talking through the phone, like that is bullshit. They were just sitting in a room and he could shout back to someone, "I'm ready to leave," and he's sitting there talking at full volume about why is Martin so and so still alive? Like Martin Bird, why is Mr. Bird still alive? No, I'm sorry. That whole sequence, every time, I was like, these people have never been to prison or seen a visitation room
Yeah,
or watched
You know,
a movie with
I
someone
did-
in prison.
I did catch that, but it didn't irk me that much. But now that you pointed out, that is a major flaw. I mean, you can't just sit there in prison. I don't know.
I was like,
actually.
come on.
So are you saying the collect calls, those are like legitimately monitored?
Well, okay, let me jump in
for
here.
sure.
I'm gonna like 50% disagree with you. So in regards to the phone calls, those are 100% recorded. Yes.
Recorded.
The visitation rooms are by and large not. And this experience for me comes from when I worked with a criminal defense attorney, and we would go and visit clients in jail sometimes. And those rooms in general they're not bugged or recorded because of attorney-client confidentiality. The prisoners have to be able to talk to their lawyers in confidence. Now, of course, Ruth is not a lawyer,
Yeah.
so there
Wouldn't
might
it be
be
more
separate...
like when George Michael went to meet with George Bluth at the prison with all the other people who were just meeting with their family members in prison, not a
Right.
one-on-one room?
Right. And the guards who are guarding that room or guarding the visitation areas, they've got a lot to worry about. And, they're also very underpaid and in general just don't give a shit. So, I think you are right that they're openly talking about these things, and, that's really not realistic. But, I don't think, they could have gotten away with it. But the way that they portray Cade and Ruth as being the smarter criminals,
That
yeah,
didn't
I
feel
think
very
you're
smart.
right. Yeah, I think you're right that they would not have been discussing that so openly.
Did anybody else get rapey vibes from Ruth's dad?
Yeah, real bad, uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
But well, okay, also Marty though, whenever he would kiss Charlotte, and he'd be like, "Who loves his little girl?" And I was just like, "I just."
What? I know. I never caught that.
I didn't catch that.
There was like 3 times that he did it, and it just was uncomfortable, especially when she was like upset.
And this isn't necessarily.
She didn't look like their daughter. That's what bugged me. She didn't look like their daughter.
I don't know. She looked like she could have been the daughter of the mom, but not really.
Yeah.
You know,
She looked like a California surfer girl. Like
I thought she was like
born in
Norwegian,
Chicago.
acting like an American.
I could see that.
I didn't really understand the point of that little plot line of her going to
losing
the
her
party
virginity and feeling bad about it.
the part where she goes to Party Cove and has sex with that guy who's obviously overage and she's 15. That just felt a little exploitative. I didn't really quite get the point of that.
Oh yeah. That whole
Ozarks,
point. Wait. How
nowhere.
old was she? How old was she? Though?
15.
15.
15.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Your uncomfortable masturbatory moments are now on
Yeah.
record.
And something else that this isn't necessarily a plot hole, but I absolutely hated one of the closing scenes where the pastor takes the baby into the water.
Oh, I hated that sequence.
Hated that.
That was
Because
awful.
you know he throws away the baby carrier, and I think they're absolutely telegraphing that he's going to go drown this baby. And I think what's supposed to happen is that he has a change of heart halfway through, and then turns it into a baptism. Hated it.
Hated it.
No, see, I that was
He
one
tried
part
to
of the
kill that
whole
baby,
show.
changed his mind. He's like, "Oh, I just baptized you. That's all. You
That was
lived.
one part of the
You
show.
lived."
I think shows in general, I don't like whenever they kind of force a narrative and then turn that into a twist. It's like, oh, you thought this. It's like you made me think that.
Right.
You alluded to going in that direction, and then all of a sudden the illusion was false.
Like, I think that could have been fixed with a performance where if like something on his face, somehow you see this light bulb moment and a change of heart.
Correct.
I think
correct.
that could work, but here it just didn't.
Well, I thought they were going to fucking Moses. I thought he was going to push the baby out in a basket and just be like, all right, someone will be a better parent than me, and we'll find it here in this hillbilly lake.
And like Schnell picks it up like,
with drug
yes.
dealers.
Yeah,
He will be
Schnell
the
picks it up.
the future Moses of the drug trade.
He runs the casino. He runs the casino. Oh
Now
my
we've
God.
also we've not even touched on my least favorite character and story in this whole show, which was the FBI agent,
both of them.
Agent Petty.
So
he just
petty.
he wasn't believable. We're given some of his backstory where, his mother got hooked on painkillers and then started doing heroin. So now he hates drug dealers. Like that, it just wasn't enough for me. And I also really did.
Like weird sexual sociopath.
Yes, I did
Oh.
not like at all the way that they portrayed sexuality in this show, specifically with him and with Russ Langmore.
Well, didn't his mom like call
You
him?
turned me.
Right. Like the what I got from it was they were trying to say that cliche about the ones who are most homophobic are, have homosexual tendencies themselves. And while that can be true, I think that really minimizes it because there are homophobes out there who just have hate in their hearts and aren't necessarily homosexual underneath. I think there's just hateful people in the world.
That's true.
Yeah, I think a different direction that they could have done right there is you turned me, and it's like, no, it's always been in there in your heart. You just have to accept it or something.
He
Not
did say
not
that. He was
call-
like,
no, he
you
called
were-
him out. He's like, no, you
you were busted-
assaulted. Right.
solicited.
So he targeted him. So he didn't turn him. He targeted him,
It's true.
which is almost more douchey.
I felt so bad for the dumb brother who, when his brother was getting electrocuted on the boat, his response was to
Oh,
grab
no.
the electrocuted brother. Like, I was like, come on, bud. Like,
Yeah,
you could have survived this. You could have survived this.
I've been ragging on the show a lot, but that was a scene that did work for me,
Really.
where I thought that was a good twist where they had already planted the seeds of Ruth rigging the other
That's true.
dock.
That's true.
that was a scene that did work for me.
Just the brother grabbing him. I just was like, come on. What do you?
Well,
you see,
I don't think everyone knows that. I don't think everyone
If
I don't
you
think
see
everyone
someone shaking
instinctively knows
uncontrollably, you either decide to tackle them away from whatever they're touching, or you just don't touch it. But probably tackle, because
his flesh was melting.
be a good person.
His flesh was melting. He just wasn't shaking.
Yeah. If you're not
melting
there in
off.
3 seconds, I mean,
It's
So-
like, whoa,
like,
bro, sorry,
no
you didn't make
one
it.
wants to
Let's figure out what
survive
happened
fourth-degree
afterwards.
burns to the brain. I mean, DNR, do not resuscitate.
But you don't just touch them; you got to tackle them full force.
Well, the rule of thumb is you kick them. I'm pretty sure.
That makes sense because your shoes are
Sparta-
rubber and it won't
Sparta kick them.
conduct. But anyways,
I was in that situation as a kid. Yeah. Well, no.
Did
I was
someone touch you?
able to get away, but I felt the pull. Like the connection was like legitimately there. My arms were wet. I was messing with the pull controls, and then like I flipped the switch, and like my arm was like paralyzed to it. It was so weird.
Yeah, I think it makes your muscles contract.
Yep. Uncontrollably.
Well, if it was uncontrollably, then you would like flail away. I think it like locks you in I think it like locks you in that last position kind of thing. Because you're contracting in every direction. Maybe, I don't know.
Something else that didn't make sense was in the last episode when the FBI say they get a warrant for Dell's car. That's not how warrants work. You either get a warrant to search a specific location for something specific, or there are warrants to arrest individual people. There's no such thing as a warrant for a car. That's nonsense.
Well, hold on. Are you sure about that? I thought that like if there was like a van parked down by the river, and they thought that something was suspicious and they wanted to get a warrant, they'd still have to get a warrant to search it. They'd have to list reasons why it's suspicious to the judge to be able to go search that van down by the river.
Yeah,
the warrant was because
it's not a car warrant. It's just a warrant, but the location this time is the car down by the river.
Well,
right,
the warrant was that they saw. Well, the warrant was that they saw. The warrant was that they saw Del Rio specifically, and the fake witness that they had was the FBI agent, which they can't reveal.
So in reality, what they would do is they would get a warrant for the arrest of Del Rio. But the way that they portray it in the show is, I've got a warrant for that car.
Fair enough.
That's not how that works.
Well, I think they were pulled over. I think they thought they were pulling over. They were pulling over Del Rio.
This show did not paint the FBI in a good light at all.
No, it did not.
Made them look like buffoons.
Where was the FBI whenever like Garcia was in there about to shoot the family? Okay, wait. One problem I had was if you think some 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid is like going through a hard time in life and preparing for battle and shoots some AR weapon out in the woods, why do you unload it? Why do you go and unload the gun?
Because he doesn't know that he's getting ready for battle. He thinks he's getting ready to go shoot up a school because he's a weird, creepy kid.
Okay.
Also, why are you burying a fucking gun out in the woods?
Yeah,
like, that's the worst thing you could do.
Wait, where did he get that gun? Where did he get that?
Remember,
gun?
He paid the mentally challenged guy that worked at the bar to go into the sporting goods store and buy the gun. Because remember, there was that opening sequence where the kid was in there. He's buying it, and he checked, I'm buying this for someone else. And the sales guy's like, oh, I think you checked the wrong box. I can't sell it to you if you're buying it for someone else. Didn't you mean to check this box? Yeah, sure, okay.
And that showed the flaw in our system.
I'm glad you bring that scene up because I think that was an example of this show every once in a while uses non-linear narratives where they're showing you things out of order that they necessarily happened in, temporarily. They especially did that in the flashback episode. And it didn't work for me. they didn't make it obvious enough that it was happening in some instances, and it also just it didn't really enhance the story in a way that I felt worked for me.
Why do you think it was nonlinear?
So, for example, that opening sequence, that was not the first thing to happen in that episode,
Yeah.
because we see Tuck going by the gun, and then later on
We see the kid go get tucked by the gun.
exactly, and that's like halfway through the episode, and like fair enough, like I'd say that was an okay use of the nonlinear narrative, but in the flashback episode they really mixed things around, and it didn't work.
Right. Oh, on a side note, real
Flashback
quick,
narrative.
coming back to favorite characters, it's the old guy who used
Yeah.
to work in the mob.
I also
Yeah.
like the old guy,
Yeah,
Buddy.
he's by far my favorite.
Well, no,
He's
you
an old
always
guy, he
love the
doesn't give a
guy that has
shit,
nothing to lose.
And he's perfectly willing to do whatever he has to do.
Yeah.
And get naked and go sit by the lake.
Like I'll be willing to
That
watch
was
season
hilarious.
2. I'll be willing.
That
to
would
watch
be
season
my
2.
dad.
He's
That
like,
would be
can
my
you
dad.
get some clothes on? No.
I could die at any moment. I could die. I don't care. I'm just waiting for my heart to explode.
I want his backstory, because he at one point says everybody who comes here is running from something, and Marty's kind of like, all right, what are you running from? And he deflects. So I'm
He's a
willing to watch
monster.
season 2 just to find out what his.
Yeah, that would be good.
Didn't he say he was working with the Teamsters or something?
No, he said he shot somebody. He said
He said he murdered Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa is one of the famous urban legends in our society. So he was intentionally making up a story to tie himself to Jimmy Hoffa to say, I'm not really going to tell you why.
But wait. But is that like a known kind of like
Jimmy
okay.
Hoffa was a Teamsters union leader, and he
So the chances of him actually being tied to that are very low.
Yeah,
Right.
Because that would be a great.
If it was true, there were a lot of people believe Jimmy Hoffa's buried underneath the Giant Stadium in New York or whatever. Or New Jersey.
And Teamster doesn't necessarily mean mafia; it just means trucker.
Yeah. Well, union. The UPS is Teamster.
Right, because they drive trucks.
Yeah.
It's people who move things.
Thank God for those Teamsters.
Because it goes back to the people who had teams of pack animals who would move freight.
Oh. That's worth 100 points, Jay.
Boom, boom. Yes.
So we've kind of talked about plot holes. Any final plot holes, Jay, that you wanted to? You said you had a few.
I did not buy that Marty would put 19-year-old Ruth in charge of the strip club and then she would run it successfully. Like, I think that if we had developed Ruth a little bit more, then I'd buy it. But, he barely knows her, and all he knows is that she was able to pull off the con of getting the safe out. So that didn't really work.
Well, see, it would have worked for me if he had maybe 5 or 6 businesses by the time we were at episode 7, but he only had 2, and so why does he need Ruth to run the strip club? What else is he doing? Unless if he's hyperactive in other businesses, I didn't understand what he would need to do that for, because they're insinuating okay, he's under pressure, he's got a lot of things to get covered.
He had to watch that video of the lawyer banging his wife over and over again.
Yeah. That did occupy a lot of time.
A lot of time watching that video.
Okay.
I thought, when it first showed it, I thought it was someone just sent it to him, and I didn't realize that he had been watching it 30 times, and it was just he was bored in the middle of the conversation.
Well, then all of a sudden, Wendy didn't like the little butt tap, and
she knew that he had seen something.
I thought they had a really good opportunity to turn that into a thing, punish me, Marty, but nope. No, it got very personal, and Marty made it revenge sex. Well, he did it. No, they did it. He turned it into a revenge sex and made it punishment whenever they could have made it a bonding experiment, and then
a bonding experiment.
Yeah, they could have made it a bondage experiment. Worked out a kink, but instead of working out the kink turned into a violent ravaging.
Kink.
I mean,
Okay, so what about good things? Things that you liked about the show?
I thought the visual style was pretty good. How everything was that kind of like a little bit dark bluish. I
Dreary.
Yeah, and the dark tone of it, I think that they pulled off very well. Um,
I could not watch this without thinking the entire time that this was like Michael Bluth doing all this stuff. Like I kept on like hearing in my head like, there's always money in the banana stand.
yeah, fair enough. I think Jason Bateman just may not be that really good of an actor because I don't really see a difference between Michael Bluth and Marty Byrde other than the people surrounding him.
Yeah, it's just like it's more serious because it's not ridiculous people all around him.
I can see that. He's kind of hard to sell the character. He seems kind of like the guy that would be more like on the run.
Could it just be that these two characters are very similar, and that's why they chose Marty
I would
Byrde?
like someone to cut together like scenes from Ozark and from Arrested Development.
Yeah,
And like it would be
Make a
George
new
Michael
show?
or Michael from Arrested Development and the Schnells and everyone else from Ozarks and just see what would happen, like dialogue wise.
just cut Marty Byrde out and put what's his name in it?
Michael Bluth.
Michael Bluth in it, just for every scene, and find something that works. There's enough content, but you could probably do that.
Let me
Arrested
throw out
Ozarks.
let me throw out a
Arrested
high school
Ozarks.
English question about this show to you guys, and this is something I've been trying to figure out and haven't. Why is this show called Ozark singular and not Ozarks plural? Because the name of the lake is Lake of the Ozarks. The name of the region based on the mountains is the Ozarks.
I
So
didn't
why
catch
is this
that.
Ozark singular?
Isn't there
weird.
a mountain called Ozark?
No, I don't believe there's any single mountain. There's a mountain.
Maybe he
range
is the
called
Ozark.
Napier.
Maybe he's
Ozark.
the Ozark killer. Maybe he'll be the Ozark killer later on. Well, they make it look like a really alienistic kind of like. I think the producers are trying too hard for symbolism and shit, because the cut scene for Ozark, like the O or something.
There's
is
a
spinning.
family. There's a family named Ozark in the region.
Is that the family that was buried at the bottom of the lake?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
maybe
look
there's
up.
a tie-in
I'm trying to
that they
look
haven't
up the
revealed yet.
member. I'm trying to look up what the meaning of Ozark is.
Well, speaking of that, the title card where you have the O and then the cross section of 4, and it gives foreshadowing for what's going to happen in the episode. I did enjoy that because each symbol very stylistically spells out ZARK. And, that's not really something I've seen in other television shows before. So I'll give him credit for that. I thought that was a nice touch.
Oh, there's a town in Southeast Alabama called Ozark.
But that's
that's
not
gotta
in
be
the
it.
Ozarks.
That's got to be it.
Ozark. Oh, it's called the Ozark Mountains, not Ozarks. That's a slang.
So is the Ozarks actually a place in?
It's Ozark
Missouri?
Mountains, also called Ozarks. So it is Ozark.
What is?
It's Ozark Mountains. That's the name of the region, not Ozarks. That's the colloquialism.
Okay, fair enough. I was just hoping for maybe a deeper symbolic meaning within the show that I missed.
Chrissy just gets mad because I add an S to every word. Like we go to Kroger's, and that drives her crazy. So I called it Ozarks throughout the entire thing.
Ozark.
Yeah, you've also called them the Schnells.
The Schnells. The Schnells.
What are they? What's their name?
They're the Snells. There's no
Schnell.
CH. It's just Snell.
Oh,
Schnell.
wait. I thought this was a Great Lakes.
No.
Locale. I don't know why I was thinking Great Lakes. That
No.
was Chicago. Chicago's.
They
a
were in
Great
Chicago at
Lakes.
the beginning, yes.
So the Ozark has more shoreline than California.
Supposedly.
It's because if you look at a map of the lake, it's got a lot of fingers. It's very spread out. And so if you add up all of that shoreline of all of those individual fingers, it's a lot.
Well, Texas has a lot of that kind of stuff too, but I don't know
Yeah,
if
that's
I'm
what
not
you
looking
get
at
when you create.
scale.
Yeah, that's what you get when you create a man-made lake and just fill a valley. You don't get a lot of open water.
So I guess favorite character. Everyone said old man.
I
Things
like
that
the
we
boy. I like the boy.
the boy, and
I was rooting for him. I thought he was being picked on unnecessarily.
he was.
Like he's fucking 10 and he watches YouTube all day. How about
And
you watch?
he kept everything on the LD. I just want to say that he didn't go blabbing it.
Yeah,
Low
yeah.
down?
I mean, if anything, he was holding it down because he was practicing shooting giant motherfucking guns. He actually pulled the trigger on Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Someone
fuck
had
you,
unloaded.
y'all think I'm
Honestly,
crazy?
I'm kind of glad the grandpa. I call him the grandpa. The old man unloaded the gun because at that point he would have killed Garcia, and then would have had that on his conscience as like a 10-year-old. And that's a little much.
No,
That's a little much.
no. That's how you go
That's just
from
one step towards a child soldier.
Yeah.
that's how you go from bar mitzvah to badass.
Mm.
Just
Bar mitzvah
pull
the
the gun.
badass. That sounds like
He
your
was
new
3
metal
years
band.
too early for his bar mitzvah.
All right, well, you guys want to get some ratings in?
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Aaron. 0 to 10, Ozark, season 1.
I'm gonna give it a 6, and the reason why is because I thought like there was a good payoff. It was a slow burn. We knew it was going to be a slow burn going into it. I felt like there were a lot of elements that were just didn't connect the dots fully. Like I felt like they more or less just wanted to keep the atmosphere and feeling throughout the whole show, and the continuity of the story or the tapestry of the story didn't have to necessarily come together completely. Uh, it definitely I'm pretty sure didn't Bateman write and produce or direct the show.
He directed the first, second, and last episodes. The plan was he was going to direct the whole thing, but scheduling conflicts got in the way.
But he wrote it, right?
I'm not sure about the writing.
Okay, I thought he wrote it. But it feels like something that like an actor would write and then like want to be like, this is my show. So it just felt like there were some things that someone who didn't actually or doesn't actually understand money laundering or the region kind of tripped up on. So I'm going to give it a 6 because there were some great moments. There were some great acting at times. I felt like the payoff at the end actually makes me interested in the season 2, but it was a bit trudgy.
Fair enough. Next up, we've got Adam.
I'm gonna give this show a 7.8. I think it was well made. I think they got good actors for it. I think the story was pretty good. The reason I'm not giving it a full 8 is because it really pissed me off in some of the episodes where it felt like they didn't know how to light their sets. They're just gonna knock off, 0.2 points there. But otherwise, 7.8. It's a good show, definitely worth watching. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. I'll go next. As we've discussed here, I liked some parts of this. I disliked a lot of others. I think I want to praise the visual style and the tone. I think the performances were very good, especially the actress who played Ruth Langmore. I think she really showed us a good character development of small-time crook who's just going to kill Marty to someone who sees the value of being his apprentice. I thought Laura Linney as Wendy was also really good. Things I didn't like, the story really didn't make a lot of sense. The characters, a lot of times, they didn't follow what we were told their characterization was. And ultimately, it just kind of fell flat for me. So I think the parts that I liked balanced the parts that I didn't like almost perfectly. So I'm going to give the show a 5.
That's tough. I'm kind of landing in the same category, just in the sense of I think the expectation of the show is having an impact on how much I want to vote for it. I didn't realize Jason Bateman directed this. I think Aaron nailed it. It feels like a show that you would create and write and then want to participate in yourself And I think maybe, I don't know how many times he's done this, but maybe that can cause like a disconnection between where the show should go and where it's going.
He was executive producer for the series and just director for a few episodes.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I don't know how often he's done that. Because that takes a special kind of skill to stay aware of where the show could go. Because I think like Jay said, the good really counteracts the bad. I think the good was the cartel story, the development. I was not expecting Del Rio to die and the Snells to not give a fuck. I gotta give it a. I'm gonna be a little bit courteous and give it a 6. I wanted to give it like an 8. I really wanted to really like it, but I think the potential of the show is causing me to give it a lower value because I think it has a lot to give.
Well, with these scores, are you willing to watch a second season?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to see. Now that I know Bateman is heavily involved. Bateman, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Now that I know that he's this involved, now I'm really curious just to watch it from his development as a producer and a director.
Yeah, I think,
and an actor. I don't know how many times he's done that. Is he known for that?
I mean, not that I really know of, but I think this show is 10 times better if it focuses on Ruth and not necessarily on Marty. But also, understandably, if I see Ozark come on my Netflix feed and I don't see Jason Bateman, I'm not watching it. He's the one who pulled me in. So I know I've given this as a suggestion multiple times before. But what if we Ned Stark him? What if we kill him off halfway through the first series and then just follow Ruth?
Oh wow, Ned Stark him.
No, I think even better is Ruth Ned Starks him, and then the boy kills Ruth, and he becomes like the youngest drug kingpin in the history of the United States.
Yeah, I'd watch that show.
We're just taking it too far.
He just like in the process he loses like his front tooth, so he like decides to go all in on the hillbilly look and just wears like one overall.
The way that they recover this, and it's already too late. Aren't they already like on season 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they could have recovered this, I don't know if they do. Maybe they do. Is they need to. I think they need to hone in on the strengths, or maybe the weaknesses, really, and make Marty more of a money guy. Just make him a money whiz, and make the show more of like a financial tease of like, oh, if I move these dollars and cents, and then actually make it accurate. I didn't know that they had the cover companies up until we were talking about it just now. Maybe I missed it in the show, but I think they need to hone in on making it more of like a financial money whiz show. I think that would be interesting.
Well, we've been stalling, but our overall rating for this show is going to be a 6.2, and that puts it about at the top of the lowest quarter of the shows we've watched, just above Plebs, just below Cowboy Bebop.
Wow. Top of the lowest quarter?
Yes.
Sorry, Jason.
Maybe this reveals some of my own hypocrisy, but I gave it a 5, but I'd still watch season 2. I actually started watching the first episode of season 2 yesterday.
No, I really would too. I honestly think it's just my expectation of the show is influencing how I'm voting it, because it just didn't deliver how well I thought it could have.
Mm-hmm. You wanted it to be better.
Unfulfilled potential, I'd say.
So what is that? Where is that set it? I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second.
Probably like right at about 3/4 of the way down the list.
Okay. Not too high.
No.
6.5 you said?
6.2.
Well, do we have official recommendations for the next show?
Yeah, we're going to give it a little bit of a different spin here, where each of us is going to give 2 nominations for shows that we might want to do next time, and then we're going to roll dice to see which one is selected.
I'm grabbing a piece of dice real fast. I'll be right back.
Perfect. And let me explain maybe a little bit of a twist we can put on this, where if you have a show that you really feel strongly about and you really want to see, go ahead and nominate it twice. Or if you agree with another show that somebody else has nominated and want to increase those chances, you know what? Go ahead and nominate it yourself.
I'm trying to remember my second recommendation.
All right. Well, Adam, Eric, one of you, do you have your recommendations ready to go?
I do indeed.
All right. Start with Adam.
I'm going to choose Chernobyl and Borderline, which is I think everybody knows what Chernobyl is, but Borderline is a British comedy that is similar to The Office, but based in an airport.
Oh.
All right. Eric, how about you?
We haven't done Westworld yet, have
Okay,
we?
I have a 8-sided dice.
Perfect.
So I'm opening up a word pad real fast.
And Eric, you said we haven't done Westworld, and that is correct.
I want to nominate Westworld.
All right, Westworld. You got another nomination?
All right,
Westworld. That one twice.
Round to me. So
Okay.
come back to me.
So Adam, what's your first round?
He named Chernobyl and Borderline.
Which one? Which one first?
Oh, both. He just said both.
Put Chernobyl on 1, put Borderline on 8.
Oh.
Well, Chernobyl's on 2. So now, Jay, what was yours?
The two shows I'd like to nominate. First, Get Shorty. It's a show based on a movie that came out, I think, in the 90s, where it stars Chris O'Dowd as a mobster who's trying to get out of the mob game by producing a Hollywood movie with the help of Hollywood producer played by Ray Romano. I watched the first couple episodes, and it's got some potential. The second show I'd like to nominate.
Hold on. Let me go down mine. The tick is for.
Yeah, sorry, Jay, I messed it up.
2016. Cool. All right, so number 5. This is Eric again.
I said Westworld, and have we done Lost in Space?
Nope.
No.
On
Do something
light.
Yes.
Lost in Space is kind of like you
No.
don't think
not.
it's light?
Not light at all.
Ugh. I don't know what light
Just
would
put
be.
in 2 dramas.
2 dramas.
That's exactly what it is. Westworld's a drama. Lost in Space is a drama.
Well, I want to watch art. I want to watch something.
Art, the TV show.
Remarkable. Yeah. Oh, don't they have that?
Hey, it's your
TV.
pick.
No, okay, yeah. All right, fuck you guys. Off the air.
That doesn't count as a TV show.
Well, you said you wanted something light.
You should do that new one that's on Amazon about the girl who can go back in time and save her dad from being killed.
No. What's this show? Duncan. That's Duncan.
Happy season 2.
Can't. No, this is my vote. The Midnight Gospel.
Okay, Midnight Gospel.
There.
All right, Adam.
I know nothing about it.
It's Jay.
No, it's Westworld, then Chernobyl, then Jay, then me, then Eric, then you.
I messed it up. We weren't doing that.
I put in Chernobyl and Borderline.
Borderline. What is that?
It's a British comedy that's similar to The Office, based in an airport.
Okay, so 7, Jay. What was your second one?
My second nomination is Living with Yourself. It's a Netflix show starring Paul Rudd where he clones himself and ends up also living. So there's 2 versions, or there's two of Paul Rudd, basically.
These are good suggestions. These are both good suggestions, Jay.
Okay, so 1, Westworld. 2, Chernobyl. 3, Get Shorty. 4, The Tick, 2016. 5, Midnight Gospel. 6, Borderline. 7,
please, Midnight Gospel.
7, Living with Yourself, and 8, Daybreak. Are we ready for the roll?
Roll them bones.
Hold on. I'm going to do something.
Need a dice,
Hold on. Shut your face.
Wait, I think we need a webcam.
You just type in
I'm
RNG.
working on that right now.
Type in RNG to Google, and mine will be blown.
Yeah. Here we go, guys. You see the dice?
I see it.
Do we have verification?
It's 2.
What is that, Chernobyl?
Noble.
All right.
Hooray! All right, guys, we're going to bring you a very happy and inspiring show about not the end of the world next time. Hopefully, we'll all be here to hear it.
It's the end of somebody's world.
It's the end of somebody's world.
And you know it.
So, all right, guys. Well, great episode. We'll be reviewing Chernobyl next time on HBO. What is it? What is the British actor's name with the red hair that was in Mad Men? Jay.
Jared Harris.
He is so good. I can't wait to see his performance in this.
Why do I feel like this is oddly appropriate?
I don't know. We're not watching like Pandemic or Outbreak or something.
All right. Well, I have got a brisket smoking downstairs that I'm very excited to go eat. So let's
Not a
wrap this up.
euphemism. Not a euphemism, guys.
Not
All right.
a euphemism.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Have fun.
All right. Peace out, show.
Shalom.
Peace out. Y'all have a good day.